So, welcome back for the morning session at 9:30. We are starting our regular class based on mechanical measurements and metrology. So, yesterday we were dealing about the screw thread terminology, its concepts, and also we just brushed out related to the introduction concept to the gear measurements. So today we will go in depth with respect to the gear tooth terminologies and how the tooth thickness are measured by different method, either the chord method or tangent method, and also related to the involute profile and cycloidal profile. I hope in COM you have the gear design for involute profile, right? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, is it done? Yeah, it is yet to start.
It's being conducted
Yes,
now.
Okay, what part has been covered in your COM related to the gear design?
terminology, ma'am.
Oh, only the gear to terminologies has been done. The design of the involute
And
profile.
formula for its
Okay, okay, okay.
module and all that.
Okay, okay, that is done. Because you have those terminologies here also. COM exactly speaks about the design of the this one involute profile and the cycloidal profile. Here we have only the concept related to measurements of it. And if I just want to throw a light related to how the design is also done, so that's what I wanted to ask because the entire syllabus related to the gear design is in COM. Okay, so let us start with the my voice is audible, right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah, fine. So we dealt yesterday related to what do you mean by gear, why we use gear for the transmission of power as well as energy, which are the two modes of the profile we usually consider. One is the involute profile and the cycloidal profile. So this we dealt, and also depending upon the position of the axis we classified the types of the gears. If it is parallel, which type of gears are available, if it is in intersecting mode, which gear is there, and if it is in non-intersecting or non-parallel, which type of gears comes into picture. So we discussed about those also in the last class, so which is about the spur gear, helical gear, rack and pinion, bevel gear, worm and worm gear. So this we just described in depth related to the concept of gear and its classifications. So now depending upon the terminology of the gear teeth. So we discussed a little bit about the gear tooth terminology in our laboratory part when you measured the gear tooth thickness using the gear tooth vernier caliper. Right. So let us brush up again as it is in depth here in the chapter. So everyone, you know that in the gear teeth you will be having n number of teeth which are aligned on the base circle. So if you want to see the exact gear tooth terminology, so you will be having the full gear tooth in this way. So where you will be having the base circle. So this blue colored one is the base circle upon which the tooths will be embedded. So there will be always a clearance between the bottom of the tooth to that of the base circle. The base circle will not be exactly aligned on the bottom of the tooth, and as a result you have the terminologies associated too. So outside diameter will cover the entire dimension of the gear from top to that of the bottom. Okay, so when it comes to the root diameter, it is only the bottom part of the tooth including the clearance, so it touches the base circle at the both the ends. So then you call this as the root diameter, and this pitch will be exactly the half the value of major diameter and the minor diameter and not the root diameter. So minor diameter will come to the bottom of the tooth, it will not touch to the base circle. So half part of it will provide you the pitch circle, which will be an imaginary circle which trace out the path similar to the rotation of the gear tooth. So you should be knowing about three main circles. One is the outer diameter, the major diameter, and one is the minor diameter. The root diameter is accomplished with respect to our base circle only. Apart from that, we have the pitch circle. So after seeing the exact view of the gear, you should be able to classify the other parts. So now this is the pitch circle. You can see it will be exactly half to that of the top of the tooth to that of the bottom of the tooth. You are not considering the clearance. So the clearance here will be associated with respect to our base circle. So the whole depth will be equal to the distance from the top of the tooth to that of the clearance value. And when we come with respect to the working depth of the tooth, it will not consider the clearance value. It will be just from the top of the tooth to that of the bottom of the tooth. We will be neglecting clearance value in this case. After this, I defined already what you mean by pitch circle. It is the imaginary circle which traces out the same rotation similar to the gear in which it has been rotating. A gear could be an driven and a driver. So when it has been meshed between the other two gears, we'll come to that later. And apart from that, you have to now define what is addendum and the dedendum. So addendum will be nothing but the radial distance from the pitch circle to that of the top of the tooth, and the dedendum will be always from the pitch circle to the clearance value. So from the pitch circle to the base circle will be the dedendum. Sometimes the students write it is from the pitch circle to the bottom of the tooth. No, it always includes the clearance value also. So that you should be careful. And after this, you should be knowing what you mean by the face width. So face width will provide you the width of the tooth at the top. Okay, so the top end of the tooth will always help in measuring the face width. So the radial distance covered by the addendum will be called as the addendum circle. And similarly, the radial distance from the pitch circle to the base circle, which has been covered during the rotation, will be called as an dedendum circle. Okay, so then, then you should be knowing what do you mean by pressure angle also. So pressure angle plays a vital role. So you should be knowing what do you mean exactly. So this pressure angle describes the direction of the force created by the driving gear on the mating gear. Okay, so if this is the center, if this is the base circle of the driving gear, so you'll be having a center point. So how you get the line of action? So it is formed by a line drawn between the center and a line drawn perpendicular to the line of action. So you have the driving gear here and the driven gear. So when it is been rotating, the line of action will be shown in which it is been rotating. So if you draw a line perpendicular exactly to the line of action, so the angle associated here with the center of the base circle will be termed to be as the pressure angle. Usually the preferred pressure angle will be 20 degree. Okay, so it provides an good smoothness of moving with the compromise of the power, because we use mainly the gear to transmit the power. So major power should not be lost. So in order to maintain good compromise for power transmission with the smoothness, the advisable pressure angle is 20 degree. And also sometimes these variables of degrees are also being used depending upon the requirement. So this is about the pressure angle. So if they are, all the terminologies have to be explained with the help of a neat sketch. Okay, so this I have explained you. So this is the radial distance from the pitch circle to the top of the tooth, which gives you addendum. The pitch circle to the clearance value will give the dedendum, and this is the hole depth, and working depth will be lesser than the hole depth. It will for working depth you have to subtract the hole depth with the clearance value, then you will get the working depth. So tooth thickness. So tooth thickness will be measured across the pitch axis. So you will be having a pitch axis here and you will be having the flank edge. So where it meets, the distance from one side of the tooth to that of the other side of the tooth associated with the pitch circle will give you the circular tooth thickness. Okay, and this is the clearance value. So this is the one gear, and this is the other gear in which it has been meshed. So the gap which has been associated with it will provide you the exact clearance value. And then you should know what you mean by the backlash. So when you have mating of the gears with the driving and the driven gear, always there will be some distance in between the two surface of the teeth which has been meshed together. So this distance is termed to be as our backlash. So same thing is given over here. So pitch circle, it is an imaginary circle what we obtain, and it provides an same motion as the actual gear rotates, and even the pitch circle diameter is the same thing what we get. Pressure angle I have explained you, addendum is been told the radial distance from pitch circle to the tip of the tooth, and the radial distance from the pitch circle to the bottom of the tooth. Here you have to clear addendum will be equal to the addendum plus the clearance value, and the clearance is nothing but the radial distance from the bottom of the tooth to that of the base circle is called as our clearance. Then you have to understand what is face of the tooth. So face of the tooth will be nothing but, so this part of it, the part of the tooth above the pitch line is called as face, and the part of the tooth below the pitch line is called as our flank. In screw thread, we had the entire straight edge called to be as the flank, but in case of gear, that is not the case. You will be divided into face and the flank part above and below the pitch circle. So you will define face of the tooth as it is a part of the tooth surface which is above the pitch surface. Okay. So coming to flank of the tooth, it is a part of the tooth surface which is lying below the pitch surface. And then you should know what do you mean by circular pitch. So you can see the circular pitch, it is from here to here. So how do you define this? It is the distance measured on the circumference of the pitch circle. So this is the pitch circle. So if the circle pitch, when the gear rotates, you will get the circumference of the pitch circle. So it is the distance measured on the circumference of the pitch circle from one point on the tooth to the corresponding point on the adjacent tooth. It is not to the other part of that particular tooth. It is until the distance of the adjacent tooth. So you have to measure from this point to this point. So this is the part of the tooth which has been touching the pitch circle. So from this point to the other point on the adjacent tooth, this entire distance will be called as our circular pitch. And then you have to define what is diametrical pitch. So it is a ratio of a number of teeth on the pitch. So number of teeth you have in a gear. Okay, so that you will count it, and then you will divide it by the diameter of the pitch circle. So when you divide the number of teeth upon the diameter of the pitch circle, then you will get the value of diametrical pitch. After that, you should be knowing to define what you mean by module also. So module, it is a ratio of the pitch circle diameter in millimeter to the number of teeth. So you will first calculate what is the pitch circle diameter, and then you will divide by number of teeth. So then you will get the required module value for the given gear. It could be spur gear or whatever gear is being told. And then total depth I told you. So total depth, it is the whole depth. It is a radial distance between the addendum and dedendum of a circle. Dedendum of a circle is always associated with the base circle. It is not until the bottom of the tooth. So this is the entire total depth or the whole depth. Then you should measure what do you mean by tooth thickness. So tooth thickness, it is the width of the tooth measured along the pitch circle from the intercept with one flank to its intercept to the other flank of the same tooth. So here you can see, if you have a tooth here, right, so this is the pitch circle and the flank part will come below the pitch circle. So you have to connect a point which is touching the flank of one end of the tooth to that of the other end. So this entire distance will be our tooth thickness. You should not measure from the top and tell this is the tooth thickness. Always come below the pitch circle and then you connect one of the intercept where it is meeting exactly at the flank and come to the other end and point it out, and then you measure the thickness that will provide you the tooth thickness. Similarly, you have to measure the face width. So this is the face. The part of the tooth above the pitch circle is our face. So you have to measure what is the face width. So this entire part of the tooth is called as our face width. So it is the width of the gear tooth measured parallel to the axis. So this distance also will be measured. Okay, so this part is called as our face width. And you should know what you mean by working depth. Working depth will be equal to whole depth minus the clearance value. That will give the actual working depth of the gear. So it is the radial distance from addendum circle to the clearance circle, not to the dedendum circle. If you write the dedendum circle, it gets connected to our base circle. So you have to just tell it is the clearance circle. So this is the clearance. So the imaginary circle which is traced when the gear is rotating is called to be as the clearance circle. So you define that as a radial distance from addendum circle to the clearance circle. And backlash, I explained you, it is a distance between the tooth space when it is mated together. So the distance between this surface of the tooth to this surface of the tooth, what the gap we get is called as an backlash. So these were the terminologies which are associated with our gear teeth. Okay, so if they ask you the terminologies, please draw the sketch neatly and explain all the terminologies. Wherever the formula is necessary, kindly type it out. So after knowing the gear tooth terminologies, then we have to come to know how it is being measured. So now you know gear are the devices which are basically meant to transmit the power. Okay, so for proper working of the gear, it should be inspected properly. It has to be tested. Without testing the gear which has been designed and manufactured, you cannot blindly use it for getting the power transmission, and hence it has to be inspected in each steps how it will be done. So it will be inspected with respect to the raw materials used, with respect to the machining blanks, and how the heat treatment, every gear will be heat treated in order to improve its strength in various aspects. So about the heat treatment it will be checked out, and also the cutting of the tooth and finishing part of the tooth also will be verified. Okay, so mainly the measurements which are being tested depends upon which type of equipments you are using, okay, to check the accuracy and also to identify the errors with respect to each tooth surface finish. You might have designed the tooth and manufactured exactly, but if the finishing part is not proper, again it varies with respect to the terminology aspects, the clearance value, the backlash, the pressure angle, all those things get varied. And as a result, all these aspects should be tested well in advance before you use the gears for the required applications. So in order to inspect these gears, there are two methods which are followed. One is the analytical one and other one is the functional one. So analytical one is a slow process and it checks all the individual elements. Okay, since it takes time, it is not preferred much, but it also helps in checking each and every concept right from A to Z associated with the elements of the gear. And next is functional. So here you can carry out performing the test with the master and then you decide how much it is preferred. Like this is nothing but comparing with some standard. Okay, as we did for linear and angular measurements, we used to use some n bars, some other standards, compare it, and then measure the actual one. Even the comparators does this work. Similarly, in functional thing, it will be tested with a masterpiece and then it will be tested with the actual gear and preference will be given how close the design of the gear which has been manufactured is. So what happens in analytical method? I told you already, it is a slow method and a tedious one. It is used to determine the following teeth elements like the profile of the teeth, the spacing associated between the teeth, what is the pitch value, what is the eccentricity or concentricity of the given gear, what is the thickness of the tooth, backlash. All these will be measured in our analytical method. When it comes to the functional method, and hence it is called to be as tedious. But when it comes to functional method, what you do is you will run the test of the gear with the control or master gear. Then you will determine what is the error exactly associated when you compare with that of a master gear, and also any errors associated due to vibrations or any variation, that also will be accumulated in the data and they will tabulate. This is the percentage of error we are getting when we compare with that of a master gear. So these are the two methods which are available. So after this, you should be knowing what do you mean by rolling gear test. So for performing to determine some, even in this you can determine the tooth form, pitch, concentricity and all. So which equipment we'll be using is Parkinson gear tester. So what do you mean by Parkinson gear tester? So it is a rolling gear phenomenon which we are applying, and the instrument what we are using is Parkinson gear tester. So when and how it is being used. So you have to understand rolling gear test is being conducted for mass production of the gear wheels, where you are manufacturing the gear wheels in a lot and it has to be tested whether it is capable of functioning properly. Then we'll go with rolling gear test by using the equipment Parkinson gear tester. Okay, so this test use only very less time and provide us an accurate result. So what happens here is the variation of the center distance when the gear to be tested is rotated you under spring pressure against a master gear. So this is the operation what they do. So here you will be having a fixed carriage and a movable carriage, right? So it will be having the spindle in which the master gear wheel will be meshed with that of the gear which has to be tested, and it will be rotated, and the variation what we get will be recorded in our mechanical dial indicator. So by this we'll come to know exactly what is the difference we are getting with less period of time. So that's what is been told here. So the machine used for this performance of the test is called as Parkinson gear tester. So when we operate and measuring gear with that of an master gear, so it helps us to know any error we have associated with the form of the tooth, how it is, the pitch value, the concentricity of the pitch circle, all those things we can evaluate. Lastly, variations in center distance is utilized for determining the errors in gear wheel also. If any errors associated in the gear wheel other than these terminologies also could be identified. So these variations will be recorded and it will be given back to the people who have manufactured. So they will test with respect to each elements and let us know where the error exactly is associated with. So this is the instrument, the Parkinson gear tester. How does it look? So it consists of two carriages, one fixed and other movable. So this is the fixed carriage and this is the movable carriage. So both are mounted on a common base. So the movable carriage is spring loaded towards the fixed carriage. So you can see this is the movable carriage. So it is loaded by means of calibrated spring to that of an fixed carriage. So the two spindles are mounted in a parallel plane on each carriage. So you can see the two spindles are mounted on the each carriage and both are in parallel to each other and are made to suit the bore of the gear wheels. Every gear will be having a bore, so it has to be designed in such a way that you can fit the master gear as well as the gear which has to be tested easily. So after that the two gears in mesh are then rotated manually by hand, and any variations what you get will be recorded and observed in our mechanical dial indicator. So this is how the Parkinson gear tester operates in order to find any deviations or errors associated with the pitch. So this is about the rolling gear tester. So after this, what you have to understand is this rolling gear tester helps in determining the error associated in our tooth form and an error associated with respect to pitch circle. Okay, so apart from this, how do we measure the tooth thickness? So we have the methods to determine the thickness of the tooth in case of any gear. So how do you define it? So it is defined as the length of the arc, which is difficult to measure directly. The tooth thickness, I told you, we will be having a pitch circle. So from the edge of the flank intercept to that of the other edge of the flank intercept, that will help in providing the tooth thickness. So measuring the tooth thickness is very important goal. So how it has been measured? So tooth thickness is generally measured at pitch circle and is therefore it is always pitch line thickness of the tooth. So it is also called as pitch line thickness of the tooth or just the tooth thickness. And this gear tooth thickness varies from the tip of the base circle of the tooth. So if you can see here, so this is the tooth thickness. So you will be this part, the entire part of it is called as the flank. So distance between the intercept of the flank at one edge of the tooth to the other edge of the tooth will provide us the exact tooth thickness. So this part has to be measured. Sorry, it got disconnected. So we were dealing with respect to the tooth thickness, right? So it will help, the methodologies what we follow now will be helping in order to measure the tooth thickness. So the instrument what we use should be capable of measuring the tooth thickness at a specified position on the tooth. The thickness of the tooth varies with respect to the position you are clamping, right? So the instrument should be able to read exactly the variations and the position in which it has been clamped so that we get the required tooth thickness very precisely and accurately also. So next, one of the thing we have used to measure the tooth thickness is also the one, this one. Gear tooth vernier caliper we have used in order to measure the tooth thickness. So we'll come to that with the derivation later. So this is how, and just introduction related to the measurement of tooth thickness. Then you have to know what do you mean by concentricity of the teeth. So mounting the gear between the bend centers, placing a standard roller in each tooth space and measuring the deviation using a dial indicator will help in providing the concentricity of the teeth. So how this will be performed? This will be performed by using a projector. In each case, the teeth are brought against a stop and each image of the tooth on the screen should coincide with the line on the screen. So when it coincides, using a gear testing fixture fitted with a spring-loaded slide, the dial indicator will provide us the reading in which the spring exerts a constant pressure on the mating teeth and the movement of the dial indicator gives the measure of the eccentricity of the teeth. So this usually is being operated by using the instrument which has an which has an dial indicator. Along with this, we'll be using an gear testing fixture associatedly. Okay, so you should have an optical projector with the dial indicator and you will be using an accessory as an gear testing fixture in order to measure the concentricity of the teeth. So this is just a little information related to measurement of the tooth thickness and concentricity of the teeth. So you have in depth in your syllabus related to how do you measure the individual elements of the gear. So that is being done by 4 methods. So in this, the tooth thickness can also be measured. So tooth thickness is generally measured along the pitch circle and is therefore the pitch line thickness of the tooth. So the methods what we are following to measure the tooth thickness are 4. One is through the gear tooth vernier caliper that we have done already in our practicals. So other methods are constant chord method, base tangent method, and measurement by dimensions over pin. So if they ask you to explain how is the thickness of the tooth being measured by any specific method, you have to focus on that method. If they ask you to describe all, you should be able to explain everything. So in that, the first one is measurement of the gear tooth vernier. So you have performed this already, where you will be having an horizontal and an vertical vernier caliper to measure the thickness and the width of the tooth. So this is a very commonly used and very convenient way of measuring the thickness of the tooth. So what you have in a gear tooth vernier, it has 2 vernier scales and they are set for width of the tooth and depth from the top. So you can measure both the width of the tooth as well as the thickness of the tooth. So each of which is adjusted independently by using the screw on the graduated bars. So you have the screws on the graduated bars where you can clamp it exactly where it has been needed, and then you will take the reading on the horizontal vernier scale or the vertical scale which we need. Either you need the thickness or you need the width. Depending on that, you will be using the 2 sides of the vernier caliper which are being provided. So you have to see that each of which is okay. It measures the tooth thickness across the pitch line, because in the terminology we have defined the tooth thickness is measured across the pitch line where it intercepts the 2 flanks of the tooth. So it can also measure the chordal addendum, the distance from top of the chord. And one more thing, the gear tooth vernier can also measure you the addendum value of it. Okay, but usually basically gear tooth vernier is used to measure the width and the thickness of the tooth. Apart from that, gear tooth vernier is capable of measuring the addendum part of your gear tooth also. So one thing you have to understand, if you calculate any values theoretically while designing the gear, so in order to cross check with the experimental value or in order to verify or validate the theoretical measurements, you can go ahead with the gear tooth vernier caliper. Okay, so now you can see this is the tooth. Okay, so in the tooth you have the part of the figure. So this is, we are just taking one tooth of it. So if we go back to our gear tooth terminology, we are now just focusing one single tooth, and this is our tooth thickness and this is our pitch line. This part above is our addendum and this part below is our dedendum associated with the base circle. So same thing is considered. So this will provide the width, and this entire thing will be represented by the letter W, and this will be represented by the letter small d. Okay, so this is the top of the tooth and this is the pitch line or the pitch circle, what we can tell. So in the figure you can observe W is equal to AB. This entire distance, the width of the tooth thickness is from the point A to B. The thickness of the tooth here is measured by the terminology W. So W will be equal to AB. But A